The Shadow of the Volcano. Our story begins in a lush, steamy jungle nestled in the shadow of the great volcano, Mount Ashfall. This is the home of a family of Tyrannosaurus rex. Among them is Dino, a young T-Rex who is not quite like his siblings. While they practice their fearsome roars and charge at imaginary prey, Dino is often found observing the smaller details of his world. The iridescent shimmer of a dragonfly's wings, the complex patterns on a fern frond, or the way the river current carved paths through the mud. His father, a colossal T-Rex named Rexer, worries that Dino lacks the ferocity needed to survive. "The world is tooth and claw, my son," he would rumble. "You cannot be distracted by butterflies." But Dino's mother, Lyra, saw something different in her son. A sharp mind and a keen sense of observation. The sky fire. One evening, the world changed. The air grew heavy and smelled of burning rock. A new, terrifying star blazed in the twilight sky, growing larger and brighter with each passing moment. The smaller creatures fell silent, and a deep, guttural hum filled the air. Then, with a roar that dwarfed any T-Rex, the sky fire struck the peak of Mount Ashfall. The ground heaved violently, splitting open in great fissures. Trees splintered and fell as a wave of fire and ash exploded from the volcano. In the ensuing chaos and panic, Dino was separated from his family. A powerful tremor threw him down a steep ravine, and when he finally stumbled to his feet, he was alone, surrounded by a world of smoke, fire, and fear. His family was gone. A prickly alliance, lost and hungry, Dino wandered through the changed landscape. He was no longer a young T-Rex in a familiar jungle. He was prey. One day, cornered by a pair of starving Carnotauruses, Dino was sure his end had come. Suddenly, a blur of motion and a sharp, chittering cry erupted from the undergrowth. A lone, wiry velociraptor with emerald-green eyes leaped into the fray, using her speed and sickle claws to distract and wound the larger predators. Together, in a clumsy and desperate dance, Dino and the raptor drove the Carnotauruses away. The raptor, whose name was Vex, was wary. "A T-Rex and a velociraptor don't team up," she hissed. But Dino, using his gentle nature, explained his quest to find his family. Vex, also an orphan of the Skyfire, had heard whispers of a legendary, untouched sanctuary, the Sunstone Valley, a place of safety beyond the ash wastes. Seeing a common goal, they formed a grudging yet vital alliance. The gentle giant of the plains. Their journey took them out of the smoldering jungle and into the vast, open ash wastes. Here they found an old, wise triceratops named Tops, his magnificent frill cracked and his leg injured from a rock slide. He was too slow to outrun the dangers of the new world. Dino, remembering how his mother would gently nudge him, used his large head to help support the old triceratops, while Vex used her knowledge of herbs to create a poultice for his wound. Grateful and impressed by their compassion, Tops decided to join them. His wisdom was invaluable. He knew the ancient paths and the stars, and he warned them of a new danger, a brutal, rogue T-Rex named Scar, who was using the chaos to claim territory with savage force. The Chasm of Courage. The path to Sunstone Valley was blocked by the Great Chasm, a massive canyon carved by the earthquake, far too wide to jump and too steep to climb. It seemed their journey was over. Tops was too heavy for any makeshift bridge, and Vex couldn't leap the distance. While Vex scouted for a way around and Tops rested, Dino observed. He noticed a colossal, petrified tree teetering on the edge of the chasm. It was ancient and heavy, but its base was precariously balanced. An idea sparked in his mind. He explained his plan. If he and Tops pushed together with all their might, they might be able to topple it and create a bridge. It was a test of both brains and brawn. As they strained against the stone trunk, they heard a familiar, terrifying roar in the distance. Scar was closing in. With one final, desperate heave, the petrified tree groaned and fell, crashing across the chasm with a thunderous boom. They had their bridge. Confrontation in the valley. After crossing the chasm, they found it. The Sunstone Valley. It was a paradise, untouched by the devastation. A hidden waterfall cascaded into a crystal-clear lake, and the vegetation was lush and abundant. But they were not alone. Scar had followed them, his eyes burning with greed. He saw the valley not as a sanctuary, but as his own personal kingdom. "This valley is mine!" he roared, charging at the trio. Vex was too small, and Tops was too slow to fight him head-on. It was up to Dino. But instead of meeting Scar's charge with brute force, Dino remembered his father's lessons, and his own nature. He used his agility to dodge Scar's attacks, leading the brute on a chase toward the lake. Vex harried Scar's flanks, her quick strikes acting as a painful distraction, while Tops stood his ground like a mighty fortress, preventing Scar from cornering Dino. Using his knowledge of the terrain he'd quickly observed, Dino lured Scar onto a slippery, moss-covered ledge right beside the waterfall. With a final, clever feint, Dino sidestepped, and Scar's own momentum sent him sliding over the edge, plunging into the deep lake below. Defeated and humiliated, Scar swam to the far shore and disappeared into the wilderness. A new beginning. With the valley safe, a sense of peace settled over the three friends. They were a strange family, a T-Rex, a Velociraptor, and a Triceratops, but a family nonetheless. As days turned into weeks, other refugee dinosaurs, drawn by the valley's life-giving aura, began to trickle in. One afternoon, a familiar, powerful roar echoed from the valley entrance. Dino's heart leaped. It was Rexer, his father, leading the tattered remnants of their family, including his mother, Lyra. The reunion was overwhelming. Rexer looked at his son, not with disappointment, but with immense pride. He saw not a distracted dreamer, but a brave leader who had used his unique mind to survive, build a fellowship, and secure a future for them all. Dino, standing beside his loyal friends Vex and Tops, had not only found his family, but had found himself. In the heart of the Sunstone Valley, he was more than just a T-Rex. He was a hero.